Howdy everybody. I pray this video finds you blessed. This week I have a piece of walnut sent to me by John Brunch. Thank you so much for sending me this box of walnut. There's many other pieces that I'm looking forward to turning and using in some other projects. And thank you so much, John from Peacock Farm, sending me these brass, bronze, and copper nuggets. He sent some in all different kinds of shapes and sizes, which I am so looking forward to using some of the larger pieces and another project coming up in the next couple weeks. Hopefully I can pull it off and it'll turn out. I'm kind of setting them out because I'm not sure if I want to cluster them all together or have a purpose placement, I guess, in the design. Since this piece of wood is kind of on the thinner side, I'm using my wormwood screw, but I'm using a piece of wood to help act as a spacer. I'm kind of sneaking up on the OG shape because I don't want the sides being too thin for when I flip it over and then hollow just the rim part out. I watched Jimmy Clues one time do this OG shape, and he literally did it with like maybe 3 swipes, 2 rough cuts and 1 finishing cut. And I would suggest watching his videos on how he creates these shapes and does the proportions of them. I had some small cracks in the very bottom. My only concern was since I was doing a mortise instead of a tenon, it would further push those cracks apart. So I'm just doubling up on the glue to make sure that when I mount it, it doesn't, try to separate it more. I sanded this to 600 grit, used some sanding sealer, and then Brad's abrasive paste. I didn't use the wax, the final finishing wax, because I decided to go with Frenchie's polish this time. And Frenchie's and this wax does not cooperate very well. Sometimes if you don't get all of the wax off really good during the abrasive paste process, and then you go to put Frenchie's or OB Shine Juice, you may experience streaks where you just can't get them to flatten out. And that's because OB Shine Juice and Frenchie's polish is a friction polish, so you have to get it really good and hot in order for it to get that shine. Well, in the meantime of doing that, if there's any leftover wax on the piece, that wax is heating up as well, and it's kind of getting emulsified with your Frenchies or OB, whichever one you choose to use, and will cause streaks. So if you're having streaking problems with OB Shine Juice or Frenchies, just eliminate any wax product. You can do your sanding sealer and cut that back if you need to. Eliminate any wax products and then see if that's your problem. And if it is, then you can just modify how you do your finish from there. I learned that kind of the hard way through a process of elimination, and hopefully by me sharing that information, it'll also help relieve some of your frustrations with your finishing as well. I'm cutting the groove at an angle so it's shallower around the rim and deeper towards the center, because when I roll the rim into the bowl shape, I want it to not have like this abrupt stop. I want it to kind of like slowly fade in to the bowl. Because I'm using clear resin, I want to make sure that I sand and make the rim of this piece look really nice, because anytime you're doing clear resin and you're pouring something in the rim, you'll be able to see all of those scratches and everything else. And coat it really good with sanding sealer, so that way when you put the resin in, it doesn't cause more air bubbles. The sanding sealer helps to seal off the wood and keep the air, from wanting to surface out of the wood into your resin, especially if you can't put something like this in your pressure pot. You want to eliminate as many possibilities of air as you possibly can for those bubbles. I'm using CA glue to glue down these pieces in this particular order. I couldn't just, throw them in there and fill it with resin because the groove that I cut for these pieces are at an angle, so it kind of like swoops down towards the center. Unfortunately though, when you're casting clear over top of CA glue, the CA glue does show up. For some reason it just does not go clear. It looks hazy. I sanded the inside and the rim to 1000 grit, and I did it dry because I was afraid that if I wet sanded this piece, the walnut would swell and obviously the resin's not going to move. Michael from Epps Creation sent me some white abrasive paste, and it works beautifully on these clear castings. I don't know what's in it. I don't know what it's made of or what kind of abrasive he uses. You'd have to contact him and find out if he's going to sell it or if he's going to share that with you. So thank you so much, Mike, for sending me this abrasive paste. I'm using Frenchie's polish as a finish, and it's something that I make. You can make it. It's just like OB Shine Juice, but different ratios of the same exact ingredients. I like Frenchie's better because I'm able to work it better. It's not that it is better. I'm not saying that. Just for me and how I apply the finish, I just could never really get OB down right. So I found the Frenchie's recipe online and tried it, and it just works better for me. But yeah, beautiful shine. Just keep in mind, Frenchie's polish is a friction polish. You have to get it hot. Like my fingers are like close to burning underneath that paper towel as I'm applying it. That's how hot it needs to get. That's how you get that shine to build. I'm using Total Boat 2-to-1 resin to set my acrylic logo in the very bottom. Howdy everybody. So this is a really fun project. I love these brass, copper, and bronze nuggets that John sent me. Thank you so much, John. Now you can get some of these yourself at Peacock Farm and Garden. It's on Etsy. I'll put the link in the description below so you can take a look at what he has. They're all various sizes. He sent me 3 tubs. Large, medium, and then of course the smaller pieces, which I used in this project. They're softer, so they're not so hard to turn. At least with my scrapers, it handled really well with my scrapers. Thank you so much, John, for sending me this walnut. Apparently it's over 50 years old at least. I love walnut. It is one of my favorites to turn. It's real rich. It's just beautiful to turn, and it also has, if I can get the sunlight to help us out here, chatoyance. I don't know if you can see it. I can barely tell on my screen. And my bottom logo, unfortunately, there must have been some moisture caught under there from my sanding sealer. Just be cautious and make sure your sanding sealer is really dry. Or I got a little bit of Frenchie's polish underneath there, which is probably what it is. And oil and resin don't mix either, just so you know. And that caused like a little bubble. I'm not gonna attempt to fix it because I'm afraid that I will mess it up further trying to fix it. It's been one of those weeks where you just know to leave it, to just be happy with how it turned out and not try to fix it. So the only thing I don't like about this platter or bowl, I can't say I don't like it. Overall, I absolutely love it. But there are some things, the CA glue, when I glued these down, and this with every project that I use CA glue to glue anything down and then put clear resin over top, you can see the CA glue in some areas, not all of them, but it looks kind of like a weird air bubble, and sometimes it'll just show up hazy. CA glue just doesn't cover up very well with resin. Just to warn you, maybe do a better job. Maybe I could have done a better job trying to hide the CA glue, but how I had to stick these in, and being my groove was on an angle, it was a little complicated. But I knew that that was going to happen because it's happened in several of my other projects, so it wasn't a surprise. I just kind of had to do with what I had. So that's why I went ahead and went with it, and you know. So I used the 2-to-1. I was able to fit this in my pressure pot. I actually put it in my, cut the rim and glued the pieces in earlier in the day, and about 4 hours later, after it was in the pressure pot, I pulled it out and turned it. So it's 1.5 inches. The rim is about 1.5 inches, and the overall size is about 7.5, 7.25, 7.5. So yeah, sorry I don't put my measurements in there often. I try to as I remember it. I got the white abrasive paste from Michael Epps. He has a YouTube channel, Epps Creations. I'm not sure if he's making it to sell it, but he sent me a sample piece of some stuff he was working on, and I sanded to 1,000 grit, dry. I didn't do it wet because I didn't want my walnut to swell. And then I used his white abrasive paste. Now I used it twice because the rim, I missed some spots that I seen. I just went back over it and it cleared that right up. Look at all that metal shining in that light. I just love that. I love it. This walnut really is a perfect match with these different tones of that copper, bronze, and brass. So thank you, both Johns, for sending me the walnut, sending me these beautiful nuggets. I still have some more of this walnut, which will probably be my next couple of projects, and this brass. So these two will be paired again in the future. I have a really cool project that I have in mind. Hopefully it'll work out. I hope this video was inspiring, helpful, and yeah, I pray y'all have a wonderful weekend. Take care and God bless. Ignore my hot mess. Shoo. Go away. Anyways, I doubt I'm the only wood turner out here that has a hot mess up in their yard. I mean, if you guys could really see the rest of it. Anywho, this is how I film. Flip-flops and socks.